3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Queen Stage. We're here to spotlight the athletes, stories, and action in women's cycling, giving the sport the attention it deserves. And we're going to do so with the quality, depth, and personality the sport demands.
I'm Rosael Torres-Davis.
I'm Betsy Welch. I'm Anna Roque.
And I'm Molly Hurford.
All right, Molly, what did you think of that amazing edition of Unbound Gravel?
Wow. I mean, this to me was such a fun year because you had course conditions that were wild. You had the mud, the rain, the thunder, the lightning, the even harder rain, the headwinds, but it all still felt very rideable and very like, oh, this is still very much a fast bike race compared to some of the like muddy years. So it just felt so fun the whole
And also,
time.
the pros and riders in general, they really dialed up their mud scrapers. I saw all kinds of makeshift mud scrapers, like including Cecily Decker made her own one. I think Silka was giving away one that they designed themselves. There was a lot of like little tech like going on, which was very impressive. Like I heard in Cecily Decker's interview that she designed her scraper so she could use it as she was riding her bike, which
That's
gave
awesome.
her a great advantage today. So what a strange race, right? And another tech thing was that I don't know if you saw the men's XL finish, but Robin Perle, I know this is a women's cycling podcast, but I just want to mention this bit of tech. Won on 32-inch wheels.
Which I feel like everyone is kind of cringing at because we're like, no, do we have to take these seriously now? And I guess maybe we do. But even he was hesitant in the interview. He was hesitant to say that the 32-inch wheels worked really well. He actually was like, well, it was more of like a mental thing because I know how hard the team worked to get this prototype together.
Yeah, he podiumed in the race last year as well. But it was just so crazy. And, Liv also had a new prototype. The Tessa Niftis and Peter Mullins were riding. What else? I saw new strategies in the feed zones.
Mm-hmm.
What wild? What is the Wild West over there?
Yeah. Now, how much FOMO do you have? A, not being there, and then B, you and I were not at the live podcast that we did yesterday.
You know what? I think there was so many ways to connect with the event online and on TV and on your phones and through our jobs doing this that FOMO was there, but not as strong as I anticipated it would be. Also, it was just really cool to produce a live podcast for the first time. And I thought Betsy and Rook did such a good job. And thanks to everybody who showed up and attended and who watched on the live stream on YouTube. So awesome. And thank you, Liv, right, for helping us make that happen.
I was going to say,
a good conversation.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Liv, should we get into this episode here?
Yeah, let's do it. So yes, this episode is presented by Liv Cycling, one of the only cycling brands built from the ground up exclusively for women. Today, their athletes lined up alongside hundreds of others to take the biggest, most unforgiving gravel race in the world. Lifetime's Unbound Gravel presented by Shimano. 200 miles, 9,000 feet of climbing, and as you'll hear, conditions that had no business being what they were. This is Queen Stage, where women's cycling lives front and center. I am Rosael, and I'm joined today by Molly Hurford, and maybe Betsy will come in a few minutes. We'll see. She's actually grabbing some clips on the ground right now at the finish of Unbound. And if you are a Grand Tour fan, also stay tuned tomorrow because we'll have Giro d'Italia Done recap of stages 1 and 2. And then Wednesday, we'll have another midweek recap of the stage race with a final recap on Saturday, June 7th. But first, let's talk about the 200 miles of Kansas gravel because there is a lot to get into.
A lot is an understatement. And to understand the race, if you're new to Unbound, let's talk about the course before we get into how it all shook out. So, this year was the 20th anniversary. And because it was the 20th anniversary, they had to do something a little bit different. So, every year, the route usually goes either north or south out of Emporia in Kansas. This year, they combined it. So, really, like, let's say the best of the best or the worst of the worst, depending on how you feel about those climbs and the headwinds and the muddy sections. 207 miles this year, over 9,000 feet of climbing. That is so many times up the Empire State Building. They also added a third checkpoint, which matters because that was another place where your crew could hand you food. You could swap your bottles, tell you you look great when you do not. And we saw so much of that. We saw so much like really urging on in the feed zones. And the elite
Yeah.
women had their own separate stop apart from the amateur field. Definitely came in handy today. We'll talk about a couple other brand new sections. There was U Road. Organizers describe it as chunky, rocky, creek crossings, felt like river crossings, grass, everything you could want in gravel racing. And really everything that can make your race go horribly, horribly wrong. Final 30 miles were Double D Avenue, and it was flagged as potentially being muddy and looked like a complete grind. Finish up Highland Hill, down Commercial Street. 20 years in, this race continues to find ways to make riders' lives horrible in the
Yeah.
best possible way.
And respects to all the riders who finished and those who didn't finish too, because there was a lot of those, as it happens with every muddy, and extra challenging edition of this race, which is already so hard. Because even when you're there to do a recon, you just don't know how the course is gonna shape up after a bunch of other people have ridden, like a whole like men's field, for example, right? Have ridden already on it and where the ruts are gonna be. And it just changes. Like if you have done cyclocross or mountain biking or whatever, it changes from one day to the next, especially after it's got some traffic on it.
Heck, 1 hour to the next in this race, right? Like at one point it's pouring rain, at the next it's 85 and sunny. Like,
No, it was wild because, like, seriously, so much respect because I saw Cecily Lejeune from Trek had a crash in a puddle and she was fine, but she got a full dip into the puddle. And then it happened early in the race and the temperatures kept going up and down. The temperatures were in the 70s and 80s and the sun and the clouds are coming in and out. And towards the end of the race, it was just sunny. So you were just like wet and getting hot. And at least, she got her bike cleaned in the puddle. But no, so it's a race of attrition in the sense that you have to be willing to be uncomfortable for a very long time.
can you imagine, like, sorry to get gross here, but like how your chamois would feel after those mud puddles that everyone was going through,
No,
right?
it's
You'd be soaked with muddy water, just the chafing, the friction. Oh my God.
no, yeah, it's really not pleasant. So yeah, like they're truly, truly superheroes. But yeah, let's give also before we get into like the official recap of the race, let's do just a little background on what happened in 2025. And basically, in that edition of the Women's Unbound, Carolina Mignon of Pas Normal took a commanding solo victory in a little over 10 hours. She broke away from her teammate, Cecily Decker, with 55 miles remaining. And then she won the whole race with an 8-minute margin. And first place was Carolina Mignon. Second place, her teammate, Cecily Decker. Third place, Sofia Gomez Villafane, followed by Rosa Closer and Cecily Lejeune, which all names we kind of are going to talk about or have already mentioned. And that year, the Excel race was won by former Ironman triathlete Heather Jackson, who
Who
sadly did not
DNF'd.
finish,
Yeah.
this year's race. But what an athlete, man. It's just like sometimes your body is not up for it and you have to listen.
Well, she ran 250 miles at Cocodona 2 weeks ago.
But
Like,
didn't she do something similar last year when she won? Like, if I
she
remember
did.
correctly, she had done something before or after. Yeah.
No, she did Western States after, and Western States
Got
is
it. You see, I knew there was something.
only 100-mile run, so
Yeah.
much much easier.
Yeah. And then that year, Tiffany Cromwell of Canyon Ceram, she won the Unbound 100 distance. So yeah, let's now jump into the recap because it was a long day, Molly.
Yes. I mean, okay, they did a really, really good job of showing. I mean, it's like 12 hours worth of coverage at this point. As we're recording, they were going from the start of the race to the finish. The live coverage was actually really good this year. The only thing I wish they'd done, and we can chat more about this later, was I wish they'd given like hourly like recaps of where everything stood. Because definitely if you kind of bopped in midway through, you really didn't get any kind of like, here's what already has happened sort of
Yeah.
thing going
Yeah.
on. So
Yeah, definitely. The live coverage has improved so much. Like it is so much more clearer now. They're getting all kinds of shots of the front group and the people trying to bridge to the breakaways and all that. But yeah, there's still a few things that I'm curious to. Maybe we should ask them what is keeping them from figuring this part out, which is like also giving us how many miles are left
oh
for
my
each.
god, right?
But knowing Lifetime and the people in charge of logistics, there's probably a really good reason why they haven't been able to do it. I don't know if it has to do with GPS or getting accuracy or whatever, but we need to get there and then like it will be so much more easier to follow
Yes.
the race. Yeah.
100% agree. So I mentioned that because when I turned on my TV this morning to start watching, they hit mud pretty much right out of
away.
the gate. I mean, crashes, mechanicals, people pulling over to try to clear their wheels. We've seen this film before. We didn't like the ending. Luckily, this was like not nearly as bad as what was the mud? Was it 2022 or 2023 that there was a really brutal? It's in the last few years. There was a
I
really
remember
muddy.
mud. There was some mud last year, but the really really bad one must have been. I think it was 23 or 24 because I remember working for bicycling and writing a story about how 900 people did not finish the race.
Yeah.
But
It
yeah,
must have been 23 because I believe 2024 was the year with like the 9-up sprint finish,
right.
but which I guess could have actually been muddy too. But I feel like you would have more of a shattered group. So apologies if we're mixing up our years here, but rest assured, this year was not as bad. It was muddy, but like in a cyclocrossy fun kind of way. I felt like it would have sucked to be in that front.
Except that it only it happened really early in the beginning, and it caused absolute mayhem. And some of the crashes, unfortunately, were a little bad. And I don't know when Cecily Decker went down, but she had also some scrapes and all that, even though she finished up there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Nicole Frayne unfortunately had I think she had the worst crash of the day in the women's field. She had some visible injuries. You could see just some cuts and stuff, but she kept racing. Luckily, her teammate Danny Shrewsbury was pretty close to her by the time they got into that second feed zone. So she was able to sort of get a little bit of medical attention and then keep going with a teammate. But oh my gosh, you could see she was just so mentally like not there. She was not in like a she hit her head kind of way, just in a mentally just done kind of way. And we know this because our podcast guest from last week, Sarah Sturm, was in the feed zone doing some commentary. Fantastic commentary.
Fantastic
So fun.
commentary.
So
Oh my
fun.
God. There are so many moments that could be pulled. It was amazing. And she got such good interviews at the finish too.
Yeah. And she was trying to like pump her up. She was trying to be like, go, Nicole, just go as long as you can. And you could just see Nicole's face just being like, please don't talk to me right now. Just let me be miserable. Please let me be miserable.
Yeah.
But up front by around mile 12, we had a lead group of about 9 riders at the front. At the second feed zone, I mean, we're already getting into how the race played out, basically. We have Sofia Gomez Villafane, Jerica Schurz, otherwise known as G, Rosa Closer, and Cecilia Decker. They attacked, they rode clear, they became the lead group, and then, amazingly, Paige Onweller got up there. I feel like even though she ended up finishing, spoiler alert, 5th, she was the, like, kind of success story of the day, or like the fighter that just keeps getting up after getting knocked out.
Wild. Like even the commentators were losing it. That was like we could not believe it because it happened like you'll see it happen like 3 times.
Yeah, yeah. To do that, the power, I would love to see her power file
Yeah,
because it
and then
would have
she's
just
another
been
one who also designed her own mud scraper. So there's something to those like marginal gains. Maybe they're not that marginal.
I am dying to know how they designed them. Like, did they use 3D printers? Did they just go to Home Depot and buy a bunch of random crap? Like, please, we need to know.
Well, there's a reel on our account on Instagram, queenstage.cc, and people can go see and listen to Onweller talk about her scraper and how she made it.
Perfect. Is she planning on making more? This could be a whole Etsy shop
It
she
could
could
be a
do.
whole thing, yes. It could match your nails on race day. There was a lot of good manicures today.
Oh my God, right? They're showing Nicole getting her like hands cleaned off
Mhm.
in the feed zone. And you can just see her trying to like pick dirt out from around her like fantastic
There was
nails.
a hair braiding station at the expo yesterday to get your race day braids. And I'm like, I think we're peaking when it comes to women cycling. Yes, it's been a lot of fun to see all those little things happening and so many women and girls like showing up to the race.
We have come such a long way since I think it was probably 10 or 12 years ago. I wrote an article for Bicycling about how to, like, if you wanted to, how to wear your makeup on the bike so it wouldn't,
Mhm.
like start dripping down and you wouldn't have issues. And I interviewed like Tiffany Cromwell and Emily Batty and all of these women. And the amount of hate that I got for it, like, I could not write an article that would get as much hate mail
Yeah.
as that
I
article did.
wonder if you were to write it again today or update it, if it would be received differently.
I think so.
Yeah, I think there will be a lot more. I mean, there's always going to be the trolls, but I think, the trolls don't reflect the whole. So,
Well, I remember my favorite part about that was like one woman's husband like slammed it and he did this whole post about it. And then she like posted under him. She's like, sorry, do you think I don't wear makeup on the bike and that this wasn't a helpful article? And then he actually like posted an apology after, which is like the only
wow.
time someone has actually apologized on the internet ever.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yes, we love to see it. We are so happy to see the nails and the braiding and all of this.
Yes, absolutely.
So good. Okay, so what happens? What happens next?
Let's see, where were we? So by mile 106, they had more than 6 minutes in the chasers. Rosa closer, lost contact briefly after dropping a bottle in the feed zone. And that's a good detail to mention because what happens is that Lifetime has a rule about trash. So if you drop something, once you're out of a certain area, you have to pick it up yourself. So she had to go back and get it. And the same happened to Paige Onweller. So it's a good detail because you can get disqualified because you're technically littering.
Ooh,
Um,
wait, could
Go ahead.
Keegan have gotten disqualified for when he like had a piece out of his cassette get dropped that he had to go back
Oh,
for?
I don't know. I don't know. But, there's a woman cycling podcast. So I
It's
kind of
true.
don't care.
Don't care.
No, joking. What a good race the men's was too. So go watch this as well if you want to see Keegan Swenson like struggling to fix his bike for many, many, many minutes on live YouTube feed.
It
Anyway,
it really hurt. It really hurt.
yeah. So, like mid race, Unbound is such a big course. So the weather conditions can be one thing in one place, a different thing in another. And then we had a wind. Whenever you're turning, like all that can change. And we saw it all. We saw heavy rain, thunder, lightning close to the ground at the halfway points. And riders were just caked in mud head to toe. And those new sections that were added, Molly, as you mentioned, our section and the W road, yeah, that they look pretty tough. Yeah, I wonder what the writers thought about it. But yeah, and it seems like the specialized riders didn't have a lot of trouble managing those sections. We also have strong winds, headwinds that factor into the final third of the race with gusts of up to 35 miles per hour. And then the lead group was averaging around 20 miles per hour through mile 140 despite those conditions. So they were really cooking. And around that time, is when the sun came out and it was getting really hot. Like Sofia Gomez Villafane in her interview mentioned how happy she was to have like a skin suit that was like made for the hottest days
Mhm.
of the year. So even those little details that can make you more comfortable can feel important. And then Molly,
Wh-
all riders. all 5 riders arrived at the finish line. So, not as big as the 9 up sprint that we had in 2024, but very exciting. But the craziest thing is that all of those riders had already been in past Unbound podiums before. 2 of them had already won the race, 2 of them have been second place. Like, it's amazing how much this race has
Yeah.
grown, showing that experience is important because sometimes in these new gravel races, not new, I mean, it's 20 years old, right? But so often as the racing kind of develops around the race, we would see surprise winners all the time.
Yeah.
Other than Sofia Gomez Villafane, like being so dominant in gravel overall, you kind of see a lot of surprise winners because then you have people coming in from Europe for the first time and that kind of thing. But anyway, in those final kilometers,
Well, let's back up even
go
before,
ahead.
like, before we got into, like, that really sprint time, there was a moment where Sophia pulls out her phone and is texting, and everyone is like, "Who is she? What is happening? Why is she texting? Is she, like, texting the
Missed that. Tell
finish?"
me.
Oh my god, so yeah, she's literally texted G behind her to be like, "Attack now."
My
And then G
God.
attacks. It
Yeah, because
was
I also, wow. Okay, you didn't know that. That's insane. Also, I think some of these phones, they have them synced up with their computers. So sometimes if you're receiving the text, you don't even have to look at your phone,
so I think that's what
which
happened.
is
She just, like, was
brilliant.
looking down
And
and it was like,
also,
"Go!"
and we're seeing things also, by the way, it is allowed to text. They do allow, because there's still a side of self-support in a way. So I guess that's part of the reasoning for allowing cell phones in the race. And they don't have any rules against race radios. And Lauren Steffens, who's the national gravel champion, had a very interesting race radio that she had already tested uh, at the Sea Otter Classic. But wow, to send a text to set your teammate up, what, just to have your teammates set you up, amazing.
It was so good. Yeah. So that was like G's first attack. So she goes, and then everyone still closed it right back down. It was, it actually, this whole finish line reminded me of the cyclocross worlds in, I forget if it was 2021 or 2022 in Arkansas, when it came down to Voss and Lot Kopecky. No, not Lot Kopecky. Anyway, Lucinda Brand, there we go. They were together, and it was the slowest last lap of all time because they were just like getting ready for the sprint and getting ready for the sprint. And that's what this felt like too. So watching it, you're just like, when is someone gonna go? When is someone gonna go? What are they doing?
Yeah,
What are they doing?
yeah.
And
And honestly, I mean, I thought Rosa Closer was gonna take it, given that she had already won a sprint against 9 people, and like 3 or 4 of them were the same people she was sprinting against this time. And I thought it was her or Cecily Decker, because Cecily Decker, what a machine of a woman! That, like, she's so impressive on the bike, so focused. Yeah, and I think, and she did have a crash. I forget where, I didn't see where it happened, but it's crazy.
but Sophia just timed it so perfectly. Really, I would say caught Rosa unaware. Like you could see she didn't even try to catch the wheel and go with her. She was so caught off guard by it. And then G moved beautifully. Like when we talk about teammates doing incredible things in a sprint, this was
Mhm.
perfectly played, right? Like G just kind of moved into that front, let the gap open up enough, and then was still able to hold the sprint to come in for second. Oh my gosh. Just gorgeous tactics.
No, it was very well done. Very impressed with, yeah, with Sofia Gomez Villafane, who, yes, accelerated first out of that final corner on Commercial Street to take the win, and a double for Specialized because then Schurz got second, Cecily Decker got third, Onweller finished fourth, and Closer fifth. What a race! And it's just insane that Sofia can kind of do it all.
Hmm.
She can do it all.
Yeah. I feel like she and Kate Courtney are very similar racers in that, like, kind of put them in
Wow.
any race and they're going to excel somehow.
I wonder if they ever would pair up for Cape Epic or something like that.
Oh,
Because I guess you don't have to be on the same bike sponsor. Yeah. Yeah, or something like that. It would be truly very cool. So Molly, I have a question for you. Let's see if Betsy can join us here. She's texting me right now, sending me all kinds of clips and things from the race finish. But okay, so I was thinking about this. You know how in road cycling, when it comes to classics and monuments, I'm still a little confused about what makes something a classic and what makes it a monument. I think for a monument, you have to be over 100 years old to be a race. But I don't know, like I was thinking, you know what? We don't have any classics or any monuments in the United States. And I think Unbound Gravel has just become such a challenging and difficult event, so infamous for what it will put riders through. Shouldn't we call it the Monument of Gravel?
It definitely feels like it's earned that title. That's for
Because
sure.
you know what? If we have to wait 100 years, that means that we won't be alive whenever people decide to call it a gravel monument. So it's like, so seriously, I have to wait like my next life, I guess.
It's true. Yeah, we should really just designate a few races as monuments in the US and really like have that stamp on gravel, right? Like we were here first. We sort of started this. Just get in early while we can, right? Before someone in Europe is like, "Oh, we should make the monuments of gravel."
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of a beautiful thing to have something that we have seen become so emblematic of the United States and North America in real time.
Mhm.
Like in the last 20 years, there has been so many changes in this event, and I don't know, it just feels like grander than life sometimes.
Absolutely.
And Sofia Gomez Villafane winning it for the second time. She's the only one to do it since Ted King won it for the second time in 2018.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a big deal.
Yes, it is. It's funny because like I remember maybe 10, 12 years ago again writing about Unbound and having someone from Unbound email and be like, "Oh, we're really trying to get more women to the race." So, A, kudos to them for thinking about getting more women out of the race this long ago. But B, the fact that like a decade ago they were like struggling to find enough women riders and now we have this amazing field is so
Yes.
cool. And yay, we have Betsy.
Look who's here, Betsy.
Hi, guys.
So, Betsy, we just finished the recap. We talked about the new course. We talked about the top 5 winners. What an amazing race. You were on the ground. Tell us, what did you see? How do
How
you
was
feel?
it? How are
How
you
was it?
doing?
Well, here's the weirdest thing. It's like a sunny, beautiful day right now. Like it's hot and it's sunny and everyone's in tank tops. But it was like apocalyptic out there all day. I mean, just like storm cell after storm cell and lightning and obviously mud. You guys were watching, you could see the riders. Like there were times you couldn't tell who was who. I mean, even the commentator,
Yeah.
the live stream people were just like, we
Yeah,
think
like the first
that's
time Paige Onweller like bridged to the group, or like the second time nobody was able to tell who she was, and we
who
were like,
she
"Oh my
was.
god, is she? Is she?" And she did it like 3 times. It was crazy.
Yeah. Well, I just came from the like finisher tent and I mean everyone is just shattered. Like I mean they always are at Unbound, really. Like
Yeah,
but everyone's eyes are super bloodshot because they kept having to take off their sunglasses because they were mud splattered. But
yeah.
then like you're getting dirt and grit and stuff in your eyes and then the sun would come out. So I mean the med tent was busy like doing saline washes of
Oh,
people's eyes. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Okay,
oh, I
another thing
hate
to
that.
pack. Another thing to pack for your next Unbound, a saline water with a
Right.
scooter thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I saw lots of mechanicals, right?
Yeah, it seemed like it, although, like, I'm trying to think, I can't think of anyone. I mean, I'm sure there are people that had to drop out because of mechanicals, but I mean, obviously the big mechanical was in the men's race.
Yeah.
But no, it's just yeah, hanging out with some of the gals. I'm curious what you guys talked about in the recap, like that group of 5 women that seemed to just That
Yeah,
was
no,
the
but we
race,
we were
really.
talking about how two of them had already won the race, Rosa Closer and
Mhm.
Sofia Gomez Villafane, and then Jerica Schurz and Cecily Decker have already been second place before.
Yep.
And just such a dominant win from Sofia, who I thought Closer would win that sprint, given that she had won a sprint 9 up in 2024, and Sofia just keeps leveling up, and it's wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's wild.
She's so good. And, you know, I think like just the banter among people is like, I think people did want to see G or
Mhm.
Cecily. I mean, Cecily was my personal, like, I would have loved to see,
Yeah.
but you know, you want to see a new winner. I think at Unbound in general, but also when it has been Sophia so much.
Yeah.
Not because like I don't love Sophia and think she's incredible, just because it's exciting. And that's how Unbound has been, right? Like we don't see many repeats, especially in the modern era of gravel.
Yeah, it's like the Pogacar effect where like it's not that people are gonna stop watching the race. They feel a little split between the people who are hardcore fans of this very dominant
Right.
athlete and the people who are like, oh, I really wish to see somebody come out of the shadows.
Right. Yeah, and it was, you know, interesting too. I don't know if you guys talked about this, but the whole like specialized team tactics thing and, you know,
Well,
if
Molly mentioned that she saw that Sophia texted G to attack. Is that right? What else did you hear?
oh, texted. Well, I talked to their manager and I was like, "What was the plan?" And she said, "Well, the plan that was made, like the time passed and they didn't get to do it, which was that they'd work together and, you know, advance the race. But then like G was supposed to attack, but somewhere like a lot further out. And I don't know why it didn't happen, whether she just couldn't do it. And then when I asked G sort of what the plan was, I sent you that audio. I'm not sure if you could hear it, but she kind of played it down a little bit. Like the plan had been for if it came to a sprint for Sophia to go, but I don't know. I felt like she's gracious and she's great and she got second, but I mean, I don't know. Don't you guys think she was bumped? I've never
Yeah.
been on a bike team. Also, I think gravel teams are still new and maybe not quite like you know, roles aren't maybe as defined as they are on the road. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
it feels like a Demi Vollering Lotte Kopecky situation when they used to be teammates and that kind of thing. So I guess we'll see how it goes in the next races.
Yeah, I'm actually
Yeah.
curious because we got to see this at the men's race, and I know we're not talking about the men's race, but it was still two specialized riders that this
Right.
happened to. So this is like relevant to these two women. So Keegan actually gave his back wheel to Mads, and Mads went on to win. My question is, do they have a bonus structure that allows
Mm,
when riders work for each other that
mm,
the bonus gets split somehow, which would incentivize them to
I'm
work
sure
together?
they
It
do.
must be.
Yeah, I think all the
totally.
teams like specialize, and I think a lot of teams will do this because it is an incentive. It is fair because you're being a teammate and you are committing to something and not attacking your teammate. So for sure, they have something settled in that way.
Yeah. So I think G is probably still happy with second and probably
Right.
is some kind of like split bonus situation, I hope.
Totally. Yeah.
Because she earned it.
Betsy, when you were doing interviews, did you like what were the vibes like especially from the top three?
I chatted with Cecily for a bit and you know, I mean, even though she got third, she was like, I'm really happy with my ride. You know, I think everyone realizes how high the level is and how hard the racing is. And so, you know, a result that may not like on paper notable necessarily is like something people are proud of.
Yeah.
I was talking to some of the girls because I felt a little like I didn't know what was going on because the live stream focused so much on that group of 5, right? So I was like asking them, the girls, like what was going on behind, like what else was going on? And someone told me, I think Ellen Campbell told me that there was a lot of separation early and that most people were just in like twos and threes for,
Yeah.
you know,
No,
as
that's what
the
I
race went.
Yeah, that's what I would expect, and what a top edition of Unbound.
Yeah, mentally to be by yourself for this one in particular, like
Oh
going
my
through the
God.
rain alone, right?
Yeah. I did ask Lauren DiCrescenzo, she won it in 21. I don't know what her place was today, if one of you guys could look
Well,
it up, but
she did well
she
because she managed to bridge up, and what place did she finish? 7th
7th?
place.
7th, right?
Yeah.
But she said, like, the time she won with in 2021 was, like, 12 something, 12 hours something. Today, it's 10 something. I mean, it's so drastically changed, and I know we talk about it a lot. We talk about the depth, but it's really cool to see it. It's, like, very exciting, compelling racing now.
No, it's really cool, and also, like, something I know this sounds so silly to repeat, but the mud scrapers and how even Cecily and Paige Onweller, they had made their own,
Yep,
designed their owns,
yep,
and so they could use them as they were riding their bikes. And then if they had to stop, it was just a lot less mud to remove, than having to start from zero. And it's just like, yeah, being willing to problem solve and outthink the competition.
yeah. Cecily showed me her mud scraper. It was pretty she was pretty proud of it.
What material was it made of?
It looks like she 3D printed it. Yeah, yeah. I sent you over a video. It looks like a putty spreader. Is that what they're called?
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
A putty scraper, kind of like a horseshoe shape.
Yeah.
And then she also had that new fancy schmancy like auto lubricator thing for her
That's the
chain.
other thing. I completely
Mhm.
forgot that for cyclocross, it was more common to put some kind of oil or something on your frame so the mud doesn't
Oh,
stick,
will come off.
and that they're also doing that with gravel, and now they're coming up with even products for it.
Man, back in my day, we used to just spray some Pam on our
Yeah,
pedals
or
and on like our
butter, I've
down
Or
heard.
tube, and it was
butter.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way,
Yeah.
Betsy, you and Rook did such a good job yesterday on the live podcast. How was that
Oh,
experience?
it was really fun. I would love to do more. I mean, it was a great, small, intimate crowd and obviously very thoughtful guests with, our
Mhm.
mechanic, our engineer, our athletes, and then some great questions from the audience. It
Yeah.
was really nice. Yeah.
No, yeah, once we release that, people really need to go and watch it if they missed it, because the questions were amazing. The
Yeah.
audience also blew our minds. Like, some of them should be like considered journalism
Yeah.
or podcasting. And the answers from Melissa Rowlands, Peter Mullins, Paige Stewart, and Ludi Scholes, it was what a good. I got the chills like twice. It was just such a good conversation.
Yeah. And it's hard. I can't. Obviously, I'm here at the event working for us, like for our podcast and with Liv, and so I'm biased towards the women's race. But I also think that even if that weren't the case, I do feel like there is, to you, not to be cliche, but there is like a movement, and it's really a palpable energy, and it's cool. And I'm
Yeah.
I I'm just I feel so good about it. It's kind of like my sentimental story of the year is my first Unbound in 2019 also coincided with my cycling journalism career. I got sent on assignment from Velo News, and my assignment was, what's it like to be a woman at Unbound? And
Wow.
at that time I was like, oh, that's dumb. Like, I don't like, why can't
Yeah.
I just go to Unbound? Like, why does it have
Yeah.
to be about being a woman? And now it's like total 180. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to
Yeah.
talk
And
about
there
and
were
think about.
so many activations that were woman led.
Right.
This is why I really insist that people should go to Unbound, even if they don't want to race it. Like, you can do the shakeout rides, you can just go for the fun and be a fan of cycling while also being a cyclist and having your little adventure rides. You can do the 25 miler, the 50 miler, the 100 one. But also all these activations, there were multiple podcasts. We were not the only live
Yeah.
podcast led by women. Bunk Babes were also recording. Feisty Media with their Feisty Cycling podcast was
Yep.
also recording there. What a good time. What a good time.
It's a good time to, yeah, to be a fan of the sport, to be part of the sport. Um, yeah, it's very cool.
And Betsy, do you think I asked Molly this question if we should consider Unbound like our own monument of gravel in North America? Thoughts on that?
I mean, I think it is for sure.
It's like the Paris-Roubaix of gravel, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. It blows my mind every time I come here how big of a deal it is. I don't know. It's so cool that like, the women's race today was a really exciting 5 up sprint. Like the men's wasn't that exciting. I do love all these guys as well, but
No, I get it.
I love how it has like different finishes every year, right? Like we've had
Yeah.
a 9-up sprint, we've had a solo finish. It's
Yep.
so unpredictable and it's so awesome. Now, here's my question actually though. It's the only race that like changes its course every year.
every year.
Is that weird? Do we think they should settle on one course and like keep it, or is the magic that they switch it up? Because I'm actually kind of
I
of two
think
minds,
it-
I have to admit.
I think,
Yeah.
that while gravel is becoming so professional and commercial and it starts looking more like road, I think it's important that they have agency over changing details like that because it kind of tries to keep the spirit of adventure in the race and knowing that you may be going into the unknown.
Well said.
Yeah, I mean, I think people tend to like that aspect of it, especially people who come and do it over and over. I'm talking more about amateurs. I think they like that.
Yeah.
I guess if you change it, like the whole course record thing doesn't work. And I haven't actually asked any pros about that, but I will say one of the changes this year that embarrassingly I learned the hard way was they made pro only feed zones, like in different towns. So I had
Got
this
it.
great idea that I was going to ride to checkpoint 2 and I was going to like get the athletes coming through. But I went to the amateur checkpoint 2. And so I was like, why is no one here? Come to find out that the
Yeah.
pro
And
checkpoint was
yeah.
10 miles away. So I'm like time trialing to get there. I missed the front group, but so I guess all this is to say is that, like you were saying, Rosael, it is constantly evolving. Lifetime is like super amenable to making it a really good experience for pros while preserving the bread and butter, which is the amateurs.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
Yeah, and I think they've talked about the course record just as overall speed is now how they're
Mm.
like currently setting it is like what is the average speed, and then whoever has the fastest one, that's the record. So last year I think the
yeah.
men's record got set is what they were saying. But I was like, okay,
That-
that's all right. All right.
Fair, yeah. That's what they did say to the first male XL finisher. They were like, not a course record, but pretty good, all things considered. Which we're still waiting on the women
I was
XL.
gonna
They're like,
say, yeah.
yeah, they're still like 30 miles out, I think. And what an epic night! Like it was thundering all night, and then today, of course, was super gnarly. So, yeah, I think back on I've done Unbound twice, the 200 and the 350, and I feel so lucky with the weather. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, because it's tough because like once you get the lottery and you get in and you
you're
purchase
going.
everything, it's you're
Yeah.
going. So you have to be ready for anything.
Yeah.
Didn't they say only like 1,200 of like the 1,600 people started the 200 today?
I didn't hear
I
that.
did hear there were a lot of people that not start, period. And you know what? If that's the move after doing a recon the day before and all that, then that's the way to go. Because, we have to prioritize safety, health, and having fun, especially if you're not a professional rider.
100.
The line,
So I
at the
think we can wrap it up there. Any last thoughts? Uh-huh. I
I
saw
was
the
just
video you
saying,
sent me. Yeah, it was so long.
it was like wrapped around blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks. And I was also thinking like the Emporia hotels are hating life right now. Like they're gonna get so trashed. But I wish you guys were here. It was really
Okay,
fun.
Yeah.
So that is it for today. Thank you for listening. Unbound Gravel continues to be one of the most compelling races on the calendar, and we hope this conversation gave you something to think about beyond the results. A huge thank you to Live Cycling for presenting this episode and for what they're doing in women's cycling on the start line, in the design studio, and everywhere in between. And if you enjoyed this episode, leave us a rating and review wherever you get your podcast, and follow us on Instagram at queenstage.cc. We will be back soon with more from the Women's Peloton.